Hey guys, how's it going? This is the Bald Metal Nerd coming at you with my review of Metallica's second album, and I, of course, am talking about Ride the Lightning that came out in 1984. Now, Ride the Lightning was part of my second exposure to Metallica. I bought it on the same day I bought Injustice for All, a few months after I got Master of Puppets, which was my first Metallica album. Now, I got the albums in the basement of a Swallows department store. Now, those stores are long out of business, but they were something to see. Multiple floors of every product type you can imagine. But, to my young mind, all I really cared about was the basement, where they had the electronics, video games, and, of course, a huge selection of music. Um, it was definitely a great place to be. It was almost like they had a whole bunch of stores in one. I mean, their selection of music was so good. It was like having a record store. They had so many video games. They'd be like like a video game. You get the idea. Video game retailer, so many electronics, and that was just the basement. They had another floor. See, I was a kid, so it's hard for me to remember everything they had and what I fixated. But anyway, that's enough talking about the store. It was a great store. It's too bad nowadays there's not really any real world equivalent that emulates that style anymore. Now, I know Best Buy sells all of those items, but the selection of the media they have, makes Best Buys look absolutely pathetic in comparison. Um, at least we have the internet in its many retailers. Amazon, of course, is the first thing that springs to mind. But, come to think of it, had they survived and still had that atmosphere, I would still only care about the basement even now. Well, maybe I would care about furniture and stuff because I do sometimes. As an adult, in quotation marks, I do still sometimes buy that stuff, do buy other things, but that would still be my favorite section. But anyway, that's enough with the nostalgia. Let's go ahead and get on with the review. Now, the album starts off with Fight Fire with Fire, and wow, what a way to kick off a classic album. They have the acoustic intro, which countless bands have ripped off since then, and then it just goes into this incredibly intense thrash number. Second song, title track, Ride the Lightning. It's an expertly crafted and extremely heavy mid-paced metal song. Following that, you've got For Whom the Bell Tolls, which ironically nowadays is a radio staple, but back then they could not get radio play, but now you hear it all the time. It's an anthem song with an outstanding rhythm section and groove. Following that, you've got Fade to Black. It's their first semi ballad. It's very soulful and heart wrenching. You can just feel the emotion in this song. Now, it's a dark song that explores dark emotions and thoughts of suicide that so many can identify with. In fact, a lot of people say this song saved their lives at one point or another. Now, this song is a great outlet that can sometimes help you through hard times, with its emotion and stuff. It certainly helped me a lot in my younger days, and I would imagine a lot of other young people. Following that, Trapped Under Ice. It's a great thrash number with great riffs and rhythm work. Excuse me. Following that, you have Escape. Now, it's an often maligned song from this album, and honestly, it probably is the weakest song of the classic Metallica era. But as untouchable as these guys were during this era, it's not a bad song by any means. It's just highly average. And sadly, it crushes a lot of latter day Metallica stuff. And I generally like the song. Creeping Death. Talk about an epic masterpiece. It's got this huge feeling, and they were just doing songs like that left and right in those days. Next up, you have The Call of Cthulhu. It's their first long instrumental. There's tons of riffs and time changes in this thing. It is an absolute masterpiece of an instrumental song. Um, so basically, to sum it up, Ride the Lightning was a huge quantum leap forward for Metallica. The songs were a lot more progressive. The immature lyrics were gone. Also, the band went from being a pure thrash band to more of a very metal band. Although there's still a really large number of thrash songs on this album. Now, the production on this album was a huge step up from Kill 'Em All. In fact, the way this album was mixed and mastered is outstanding. In fact, I don't think they had an album that was, done this well until the Black Album. And no albums since the Black Album even came close, in my opinion, to the sound of this album. And James's voice was so much better on this album. It's hard to believe that Kill 'Em All was recorded and released only 1 year before this album came out. But I guess some of these song ideas were percolating around in their heads for a little while before they recorded it. Now, this album was the beginning of their creative peak. Ride the Lightning, along with the next two albums, would absolutely cement Metallica's place as one of the greatest metal bands ever. This album is a must-have for any metal fan, period. Now, I'm sure if you're watching this, more than likely you have this album. But if by some wild chance you don't, get it. I give it a 99 out of 100. My only slight nitpick is the averageness of the song Escape. But regardless, if you don't have it, you need to have it. So that's pretty much going to wrap this whole thing up. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you did like what you see, please, share, comment, subscribe, thumbs up, all that fun stuff. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.